February 2020. And we were like so busy. We're like, thank God we're going to have this new place. Little did we know, a month later,
Oh my God.
the world was going to shut down. And so we were paying rent at 2 locations.
Yeah.
And we were deemed an essential business for those nurses and doctors, and they could bring their dogs to us. And so we had almost no business, and we were paying rent in 2 locations. Meanwhile, we're trying to work with a contractor to do the build out of this much larger location that took way more in it than our original place did.
Larry and Jenn Fosnik Davis have been caring for Seattle's dogs for nearly 30 years. What began in the mid-1990s as Jenn's one-woman pet sitting and dog walking company, La Amiga Pet Care, grew into Metro Dog Seattle, a full daycare and boarding facility tucked into Magnolia, offering daycare, boarding, dog walks, and pet sitting. Along the way, Larry and Jenn became certified pet first aid instructors, with Larry also taking on a leadership role within the Washington State Animal Response Team. And together, they've built the business into one of Seattle's most trusted names in pet care. Larry and Jenn, welcome to the show. It's good to see you both. So I'm just going to get this out of the way right off the bat. The reason this is just an awesome moment for me, and I've told many of my friends this story, and I tell it a lot. As a matter of fact, I've probably told it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, because everybody over the course of 30 years will say, how did you get started? You know, right? And especially if you're in marketing, you talk to a lot of people and they'll ask that question, and friends will as well. And I always answer, I was selling travel with my friend Larry, and at this travel agency, before the internet started, you learned a little programming language called Sabre, right? That's what it was called, Sabre?
Yeah, Sabre.
Yeah. Invented by American Airlines back in the 50s or whatever. And we used that to book travel. So you'd write SEA, Cross of Lorraine, LAX to go from Seattle to LA, and then be something else, something like that, right? Basic syntax, easy programming language. But one day, I think I was sitting there typing away, and I was really proud of myself that I had learned this little programming language, because all I had done before this was worked in restaurants, and it was new, and I was just stoked to be doing something different. And I was like, I just love bossing this computer around, making it my, you know what? And you overheard me. You were my manager. And you said, you turned around. We had like our backs to each other while we were on our phone queue. And you said, oh, my wife needs a website because she's starting like a dog pet sitting, walking care business. And I said, oh, that's just a fad. Like it was like 1996 or 1997. And all throughout the papers, you know, you were seeing these huge companies just like go totally under right away. And I was like, that's, you know, it's just a phase or whatever. But it kept ringing my ears, you know, that, you know, you should do this. It just kept coming up. And then one thing led to another. A girlfriend's dad offered to get me a computer. And then I said, hey, I'll do this, you know, because I need to learn. And it was like a perfect opportunity. So whether you know it or not, I've literally been telling the entire planet that you guys are responsible for my 30-year career in web design and marketing and all the success that I've had. And so I just want to say thank you. It's special to me to feature you guys, but it's special because, you know, that is like where my thing started.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we used your website for like 10 years. So
I don't even know if you could see it with the Wayback Machine or the Web Archive, but I'm going to have to take a look after this call. All right, let's pivot to you guys. So tell us about Metro Dog Seattle. I'd love to just kind of understand what it is that you do. Obviously, I'll put links and to the website in the description, but I would like to know like how you talk about it with customers and clients, and just tell us a little bit about what it is.
The daycare is, we do a free trial day to make sure that it's a good environment. We have in our new location, multiple different play floors. So we have a play floor for small dogs, mellow dogs, high energy dogs outside, that kind of thing. So we do the daycare, we do boarding, overnight boarding, we do dog walking from our site for boarding dogs, kind of as an add-on. We do dog walking from people's homes, and we do cat sitting from their homes. And then we teach pet first aid classes from our facility. We have a space, it's a classroom.
And these are first aid classes that carry continuing education credits for trainers and behaviorists and professional pet sitters.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and they're 10 hours long, and we've got, dog and cat CPR dummies, and we use live dogs in class to practice your bandaging and to learn to take vital signs and things like that. So
do you guys do you do trail training?
There is a supplemental class that we teach called Off the Grid.
Yeah,
and
that's what I thought I saw.
Yeah, and the curriculum comes out of Canada. It was originally founded by a Canadian nurse who came across a cat that had been hit by a car on her way home and realized that there were some fundamental differences between how animals needed to be assisted and how humans needed to be assisted. So she began this program. And the thing about Canada is it's a lot of remote communities. So the class that we teach isn't so much a trail medicine class as it is a how to prepare for and what to do if you are more than 3 hours away from veterinary help. Extended shock, additional steps for like ingested poisonings,
Yeah, it's not necessarily backwoods. It's not necessarily backwoods like first aid. It's more remote destination.
Yeah, I was thinking more about my dog on the trail misbehaving.
Oh,
yeah. Like, because we have an Aussie Shepherd, and he's getting better, but man, does he want to. If any dog is on any leash, he wants to jump, and so we've done some tips and tricks, but I really want to take him on the trail, and so.
So are you saying he's reactive?
Yeah.
Our last dog that lived to be 15, he just passed us last January. He was the same way. So we would have treats and have to get off the trail sometimes, but we had a yellow vest that said, "Give me space," that he would wear to kind of notify everybody hey, I'm kind of a special case, so give me space.
Totally. Okay. So just going back to the very beginning, what did that first version of the business actually look like, Jenn? Like, how many dogs, how many clients? Was it just you?
It was just me.
Yeah,
it was just me, and it would really vary, but I would be gone 10 hours a day sometimes, doing different cats and dog sits. I would do people out of town. I do dog sits 2-3 visits a day. I had my midday dog walks. I had cats that I would fill in everywhere. And it was pretty much all the time. It was to the point where that's where we're okay, this isn't sustainable. We had the idea for the dog daycare, and then got pregnant with Sydney. And then even after having her, I put her in the baby yarn or whatever, and I walked dogs with her again until she wanted to move. And I'm okay, this is not working.
Yeah.
So we pretty much had to be okay, so what's the worst thing we do if we try this? And it's well, we get bad credit. The only thing we own is our orange Volvo wagon, which we still have, by the way.
Oh, wow. I remember, I think. Yeah. That's
Pumpkin orange.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 50 years old this year.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, my next question was going to be what was it like? And it sounds like it was overwhelming very fast because you got busy and you're juggling things and life happens and kids happen. And okay.
I mean, but you have to understand that signing the lease was right after 9/11 happened in 2001. And everybody's you guys are nuts. And it's kind of well, we're in this position where we kind of have to do it, or I need to find another job so that we can afford daycare, because couldn't do both. So we just kind of gambled and just did it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So Larry, what were you doing before you came on board with the biz full time?
Well, after you and I were working at the travel agency together, I went to work for a German expedition cruise line, and I was hired in as their air manager. And after a couple of years, I worked my way up to director of tour operations and planning. So basically everything that happened off the ship. the air travel, hotels, tours, extension programs, pre and post cruise. Got to travel to some fun places and work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and especially those early years, the first couple of years that MetroDog was open, my salary covered its operations until such a time as that the business could support itself.
Yeah, one of the things I often talk to people about when they're thinking about starting their own thing and they still have a job is I recommend, like, if you can start the marketing for it and the branding while you're still employed, like, give this thing a side hustle feel to start, just to test the waters, get some reviews, test things out on your friends and family, tweak some things, because people sometimes have this idea like, oh, it's going to be 18 hours of my day to start this new thing. And oftentimes that's just not the case. Like, you can have a job and get other things started at first. And if you have that income to supplement the starting of a new business to get that customer and that revenue stream in, man, is it easier to do, right? Because if you don't have that job or that salary, how much harder would it have been?
Oh, it would have been challenging. And it was, like one of those things that I used to bike commute to work, and I would just ride my bike to MetroDog after work and work there for a few hours and close the place up, and then be home in the evenings and head back out to my regular job in the morning. And it wasn't always easy, and it was some long days. A good stretch of long days, but it certainly has been worth it in the long term.
And so when you jumped full time to join Jenn full time, was it like a risky decision, or was it very clear, like, now is the time?
Yeah, it was very clear that there was more work really than Jenn was able to handle, especially having a 2-year-old on hand, and the business was stable enough and bringing in enough that it could support both of us. Certainly, my personal salary went down, but at the same time, I didn't have to work as much as having to work both jobs.
Yeah, master of your own universe. And so did having, the two of you running it change how you thought about running and or growing the business? Or was it like, we're going to get stable for a while and chill and like have a kid and have a successful, stable business? Or did you immediately sort of jump into what's the next thing to do, or how do we grow this even further?
Well, it was a little bit of both, I think. The business was definitely growing, like, in exponentially. Like, it's like when he was coming on, I had already like created 2 extra shifts per day because the dogs, like, word was kind of getting out there. Like, it was starting to kind of hit that peak where we're like, okay, we're getting really busy. But then the 2008 sort of crash happened.
And just to back up a little bit, we had wanted to open multiple locations, but our accountant gave us some of the best advice ever, which was that he had seen more businesses crash because they tried to expand too quickly, and that until it got to the point we were regularly turning business away because we just couldn't have any more dogs, that we should put those plans on hold. And 2008 came up before that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, what a weird place to be. So, because if you're turning people away, it seems to me that instinctively you're thinking, we got to grow now. And then, so did 08 happen, kind of save the day from expanding too fast? Is that what you're going to say, Jenn? Like,
well, no, we weren't turning people away at that point, but we were getting to the point, like, maybe we should start thinking about like financing and what that's going to look like and all that kind of stuff. And then 08 happened, and that was really weird because it happened so suddenly, and it was sort of that fall of 08 October, and like, people didn't tell us that they weren't going to bring their dog in because they got laid off. They just all of a sudden stopped coming. So we had like literally like half the amount of dogs. And then we had the holidays coming, which is our busiest time of year. So we're like, I don't want to lay anybody off and whatever. It kind of worked out organically because we had 2 people move out of the area. And so I just didn't replace
Two
those
staff members.
2 staff members.
Yeah.
I just didn't replace those. And I, just worked a little bit more, and we kind of just made it through. But it was kind of like, where did everybody go? It was like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah. So, in my research, I didn't really find like whether or not, and we don't have to talk about this if it's touching as something you don't want to talk about, but this channel is really about featuring people that did their own thing. At first it was about side hustles, and then it turned into really just people that built their own business, whether it's small or large, successful or just beginning. And one of the things that I know is going to happen is I'll have users that are broke. Like people that watch the show, I'll have people watch the show and go, I can't afford to finance a location for anything. And then I'll have listeners that actually will, and that they're closing in on 50 or aging out or thinking about retirement, and they do have access to maybe an inheritance or a trust or whatever. And so where I'm going with this is, did you guys seek financing to get the real estate or to get the place, or were you?
We did, and okay, this was 2001, and it was Larry found it sort of by accident, the original place, and it was just it wasn't like a realtor corporation, it was just a private owner, and so it made it a little easier, that way. But I did borrow a little bit from a family member, and then we took out another small loan through something else, but it was really bare bones. And his friend had moved from Chicago, was thinking about moving to Seattle, and he came out and was instrumental in those first couple of months. Like, we were in there all the time fixing it up, just us. And we had a great support system. We had so many friends come and, hey, I can help paint and I can do whatever. And so it was like shoestring budget. Like, it's pretty impressive when you think back about how much we got done with very little money.
Yeah, I mean, for me, part of the story is the experience of choosing a physical location versus just offering services that you can just arrive at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it seems like finding financing and building out a facility is like a completely different challenge. And it sounds to me like what you're saying is you sought a little bit of financing, but really you also had help from the community.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. And then I don't know if you're aware, we also relocated again to a different thing. And that was a whole thing that we're still digging out from. Did you know that we moved locations?
No. Where are you at now?
We're close. We're like 3-minute drive from where we were before, but we went from like, how big was their place? 4,500 square feet?
3,200 indoor. Yeah.
3,200 indoor, 1,000 outside, to 10,000 square foot building with 2,500 outside. And it was, it's this whole thing where the building got sold suddenly. The people doubled our rent with no, like, we've been there 16, 17 years, like, with no like improvement stipend or anything. And we were very, very like full at that time. We're like, we need a different location, we need whatever. And like, it was, so we signed that, we did that. And then it was like midwinter break, February 2020. And we were like so busy. We're like, thank God we're going to have this new place. Little did we know, a month later,
oh my God,
the world was going to shut down. And so we were paying rent at 2 locations. And we were deemed an essential business for those nurses and doctors, and they could bring their dogs to us. And so we had almost no business, and we were paying rent in 2 locations. Meanwhile, we're trying to work with a contractor to do the build out of this much larger location that took way more in it than our original place did.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a 90-day build out, but
it took like 2 years.
It was a year before we could even move into the building, and it wasn't even complete then. And a lot of that had to do with the way that permitting was being handled and inspections were being handled.
Because of COVID, primarily.
Supply chain issues and all sorts of things. It was, I mean...
That's probably our roughest patch. It was 6 years. 6 years of just shenanigans.
But for that one, we did do a small business association loan, and
Yeah.
Fortunately, we had the history and the business, at the time we were applying for the loan, that it was justified.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you shared that. First of all, bravo for sticking with it. And, I know that sometimes it's not about sheer will, and that sometimes it just fails because the bank just pulls the plug or whatever. Or there just aren't, customers because the law says no, or supply chain has like cut off your ability to get wood to build the
Right.
rafters or whatever. But bravo for sticking with it. And also, one of the things that, when I was a kid, I just assumed that I wasn't going to college because my family had no money. And all that is ignorance. I was literally just ignorant and or incompetent. And I could point the finger at my parents, but the truth is like I had plenty of opportunity to go find out that there was money available for me to go to college. In that same respect, the SBA is often unknown or overlooked for small business owners. There isn't just the SBA. There's lots of ways for people to get a little bit of funding from so many places. They just have to look. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that. Just moving into just a topic of growth and into boarding, it brings a different level of responsibility. Like dogs staying overnight away from their families. What did you have to learn or change to do that safely and well?
Well, we have a different business model than a lot of other ones have it. And I think part of it is just from my background of being in the vet world, but dogs are denning animals. And so they are all in their own little bedroom at night. They're all tucked away, their own little thing, they have their own little treats, their own stuff. And because some of these places have them out all night. And I can tell you when they're there all day and playing and just being awake and other dogs around, they're exhausted. By the time we get everybody tucked in, get everything cleaned and leave, it's quiet. The building is very quiet. So we haven't, a monitoring service. But yes, there are times that when like if a dog's not feeling well, that we're like, okay. And that's when one of us like steps in and we're like, okay, we're going to go and make sure this dog is monitored overnight and do whatever. You don't leave them if there's any potential like concern about how they're feeling or things like that. But generally, I think it's simpler that way than trusting an employee to do what they're supposed to do overnight with a whole bunch of dogs loose. I wouldn't get any sleep. That just wouldn't work.
Yeah. There has been as well huge changes in the way that animals are handled since we opened. I remember when we first started out that my philosophy was that we needed to go with the lowest common denominator of what an owner would feel comfortable with. So, yelling at a dog, no.
Right.
Hitting a dog, no. That kind of stuff. But that was not uncommon even among trainers back in around
everything's
the millennium.
Fear-free now and all that, which is so great.
And when Dr. Sophia Yin's low stress handling methods became available to the animal care community, we sent our manager to get certified in low stress handling. And unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago.
Not our manager, Sophia Yin.
And I believe they're still offering that program, but the reins have been taken up by the fear-free movement. And the manager is also certified in fear-free and trains all of our staff in low stress and fear-free methods so that we are always a happy place. And one example of that is that we do toenail trims for the dogs. We'll give them baths because, I'll tell you, when a dog stays for a week, they smell bad.
They play with their mouths.
They play with their mouths, we used to do toenail trims where we would restrain the animal, but we came to believe that, especially after going through the low stress handling, that we wanted our place to just be a happy place for the dogs.
They can go to a groomer for that.
Yeah, they can go to a
Right.
groomer for that.
Sure.
So we'll do toenail trims, but only if the dog doesn't mind. And we will use the low stress methods to try and acclimate a dog to it without actually forcing it to go through it. But those kind of changes are things that that have certainly arisen over the last 25 years, 30
Yeah.
years.
And it's an environment, I think, that suits today's sort of like emotional needs as pet owners, like we've changed quite a bit. These generations that have grown up to be
Yeah.
young adults, their concern for feelings is much greater. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm saying that
It's a
your
thing.
your awareness of it is appropriate and probably
Yeah.
mirrors like the needs.
When COVID ended and dogs were coming in that had not really had much. There was a lot of people that adopted puppies during that time and other dogs, and everybody was potted up, so the dogs weren't largely not socialized, and a lot of them
Yeah.
came in with separation anxiety,
Oh yeah.
but the owners were
Or lack
just
of
as
change.
bad.
Oh yeah. I was like, I know how to deal with dog separation anxiety, but the owners were worse because they were
Right.
like calling all day because they've been with their dog 24/7, and
Right.
the dogs had like no training. It was like acting like a 3-month-old when it was 18 months old. It was like, oh, okay, the whole new thing.
Yeah. So in 2014, you started teaching walks and wags pet first aid classes. What pushed you to go from running a daycare to training other pet professionals?
Well, that was sort of Larry's thing because we need to have all of our staff certified.
Right.
And
we had tried every pet first aid class that was available, and we just found that, especially because we took special needs animals, that we wanted something more comprehensive. And then all the classes started drying up. The American Red Cross stopped teaching them, and some of the other organizations that were out there stopped teaching them. So I went on a search, and I started locally and expanded that search, and eventually stumbled across Walks and Wags Pet First Aid out of Vancouver, BC. And the original approach was just to say, hey, could we get an instructor to come down and train our staff? And they offered us the opportunity to become instructors ourselves. And after we started teaching our staff, we realized that this was really important stuff for animal care professionals to be aware of.
Sure.
Jenn has a story about coming into an apartment and there's vomit and poo everywhere, with the dog lying in the corner, cold to the touch, and scooping it up and rushing it to the vet's office. I mean, when you're caring for animals, you never know. Sometimes, especially dogs that have been less than active and in their homes, and they come in and they start playing at daycare, they'll get their paws torn up a little bit, and it's great to be able to bandage them ourselves. But that sort of thing should is something that really anybody who's going to be responsible for another living creature should know what to do in an emergency. Just like in classrooms, how there and daycares for humans, that there has to be someone there who's trained in first aid and CPR in every classroom. And we feel that the same sort of responsibility is the responsibility of anyone caring for a living creature of any sort.
Right. What's the most common thing that you see pet owners get wrong about first aid?
Just not knowing what to do, not knowing how to identify like something's wrong, like not like just not seeing the subtle symptoms before it's late. And I'm not talking things like a bite wound or anything like that. That's pretty obvious of what it is, but just sort of like the subtle, like low energy, not eating, icky poops, and then just kind of waiting a little too long instead of being, or knowing that if it's got vomiting and diarrhea, you take it in right away because it's going to be dehydrated. It needs, fluids.
One of the things that we teach is the head to toe check. And owners don't usually run their hands over their animal's entire body. They don't usually check their teeth. They may not look in the ears.
Our staff has found tumors on dogs that the owners didn't know were there.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, here's the thing. Like, Dawn and I'm going to guess that Dawn and I are pretty typical dog owners. Here's what happens. Dawn will come to me and go, honey, something's wrong. And I'll call the dog over and they'll be super happy to see me. And I'll go, nothing's wrong. What are you talking about? You know, like, I mean, just immediately dismissive, right? And I mean, obviously I am sympathetic. And of course I want to know if something's wrong, but I'm not going to believe it until I have like proof. If I look over and the dog's happy, you know, I will naively think that everything's probably better, not as big of a deal. And then, more than likely, I'm the one in the relationship that would miss the thing that was really important. And I really like that Jenn said, dehydration, because for me, the one thing that I've seen, you know, we've had one dog that was with us for 16 years and he went through all sorts of stuff at the end, you know? And so we got really clear about like, okay, food's in the bowl. Okay, water's in the bowl. That's really bad. Like if he's not even drinking, now we're, you know, of course, diarrhea, vomiting, if that lasts a while or if it's bloody, that kind of stuff. And to your point, you know, we spend a lot of physical time with our dogs, but I probably check out my smaller dog more than I check out our bigger dog. To Larry's point, like I don't do a head to toe check on him. He's too fucking big, you know? It's like, I'm just not like I'm petting him and we're playing, but I'm not examining. And so I really like that kind of just basic things where you could feel a lump or just watch how they're eating a little bit more. Basic stuff.
And that is part of the course. That's why it's 10 hours, because not only does it deal with the CPR and those emergency things, but also how to look at chronic illnesses, how to do preventative care, and those geriatric years that are so challenging because it's that whole slippery slope where you kind of, something comes up and you're at a new lower level of health, and then the dog stabilizes and then dips down again because there's something new that added on to it. And it's just knowing how to like look for those signs.
How do you recognize the signs for an animal becoming diabetic? How do you recognize the signs that maybe they're having liver issues, thyroid issues, things like that?
Yeah, like I'm going to the vet typically. Like I have no idea. Something's up. I'm just gonna go to the vet.
Sure. Well, you always need blood work. So
right, totally. Okay, so you have been featured on King 5's New Day Northwest talking about first aid, and Metro Dog regularly comes up in the Best Dog Daycare in Seattle roundups, right? What does it mean to you to see the business recognized like that after all these years? I mean, you're celebrating 25, so it must feel pretty good that you're not only providing services to owners, but to people that are caregivers as well.
I mean, I think for both of us, it feels like we're at a point now where it's nice to get that recognition, but for us, giving back to the community is huge because the community has supported us for me, almost 3 decades, and then Metro Dog itself, 25 years. And we have many, many clients that are on 3rd and 4th generation dogs with us. And it feels good to have, it's like they're sort of like extended family, you know. It's like the dogs are part of our Metro Dog family, but then so are the owners. And we've watched, even talking to manager, we've watched the kids that used to come in that were like 6 and 7. They're now driving themselves to pick up the dog, and they're all like, "What?"
Right?
you know, it's just it's interesting.
And it must be really similar to what it's like to take your kid to preschool and daycare and then kindergarten, and those relationships that develop over the years.
Yeah.
Sorry, Larry, you were saying.
I was going to say, as a matter of fact, most of our marketing budget is making donations to local nonprofits. You know, we don't even really care what it is. With elementary schools,
Magnolia we sponsored some of the little jerseys, and I guess the kids kind of fight over which team gets the dog jersey or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And you guys have many 5-star reviews and testimonials from clients whose dogs sort of light up the moment they pull into the parking lot. What do you think you've done differently that keeps people coming back after decades and not just years?
Well, it's interesting, and we were doing some marketing research recently, and one of the things that came up is that we're very much viewed as a mom and pop kind of business, and there's definitely a market for that. That we're part of the community. We're not just here doing business. We're not a corporate setup. That as owners, that we are often on site and we get to know a lot of the clients. We focus really heavily on customer service. We don't necessarily see the animals in our care, be it home, cat visits or the dogs. We don't really see them like as a means to an end for profit. That we're there because we love animals, and we found a way to work with them and to help improve the industry, to help set standards for pet first aid, to set standards for handling methods for things along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably why we've been successful.
Yeah, I love that. It's for whatever reason, I'm thinking about my recent experiences going to big box store, like I don't want to say the name, but the large places you go to get hardware things.
Yeah.
We can imagine a couple of names, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I walk into that store and I want some information. And what happens is I go to somebody and somebody says, "Oh, let me look that up." And then they go look up on their app, like that I could do. It's the same app, and I could find where it's at and or information. But I'm talking to somebody because I used to be able to ask somebody a question who took pride in knowing where things were, knowing what it was for, like having some sort of deep connection to the job that they did, regardless of where they worked. And I'm not trying to sound like an old curmudgeon right now, but it is true. People don't really embrace to the depths that they could, and or build expertise like they used to, that I find, like, if you go to Japan, have you guys been to Japan?
My brother lives in Tokyo.
Okay. So when you go to Japan, everybody, including the dude making the hamburger at the fast food place, is concerned about how it is delivered, what it looks like, how he presents it to you, whether or not you're happy. I mean, the level of commitment to you being happy about the service you get is totally different than America. And
they take such pride in everything they do. I mean,
my God. And if you go to a place that's a little bit fancier than fast food, they're gonna double down on that stuff. And you're like, damn. Are you a fifth generation burger maker? Like, what's going on? Sushi's crazy. Sushi's like, oh my God. You just feel like a king in a lot of situations that you wouldn't in Western sort of like service situations. And what I hear you saying is that I really like the analogy of, like, we're not there. Of course, we're running a business, and of course, you're going to have profit and revenue and margin and all this other stuff, but you're doing it because it's a labor of love, and you truly are invested in the community that it brings and the care that it brings, and probably the sense of ease that you get to, like, the dividends from making somebody feel safe with that you're a safe place for their pet to be. Like, that's massive. It's close to, I think, a child, if not more so for people that don't have kids. Right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, a lot of our rules came from our daughter's
daycare.
From our daughter's daycare. Well, anyway. But like when we're training new people and we're talking about the level of service that we would like them to provide, I like to tell the story of I had a lady call once and she's like, I have to leave town and I don't know what to do with my dog. I've never left my dog alone before. What should I do? And I told her, well, the best thing would be is if someone that your dog knows could come and stay at your place, followed by your dog going and staying at their place. But if you don't have those options, then you could have a stranger come and stay at your place, or you could bring it to a place like ours. However, I'm totally willing to admit up front that it may not, it's not the thing that's going to make the animal the most comfortable. The most comfortable thing for them is just going to stay home. But we're here. We recognize that, and we'll do anything we can to help make it an easy transition.
Well, and that was part of the original plan too, was to have a place that dogs come for daycare. They know the staff, they know the building. So if they're there overnight, it's no big deal. They're just sleeping over.
Yeah.
So that's why, then now the ones that are regular, it's like no stress.
Right. They're stoked.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I've been here. I know the smells. I know the people. There's
I know
that
the
dog
dogs.
that I love. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Okay, tougher question. What's a mistake you made early on that you'd handle completely differently today? Just because I love to throw curveballs for the users that are scared to start their own thing. I love giving them examples of mistakes we make when we start out.
Staff that is not invested in the business.
Staff
Great
is the
answer.
most challenging thing. Dogs
Great
are great.
answer.
Dogs are straightforward. Whether they're growling or licking you, whatever, they're straightforward. Staff is 100% the most challenging thing. We have a fantastic staff right now, but there's been some rough periods. So
yeah. So I mean, just to share my own experience, it took me 10 years to nail down how to find the right developers that I could trust writing code instead of me. It took me 10 years from the time that I considered it.
Sure.
And it took a very long time, and I made tons of mistakes not vetting people in the right way, being lazy about that, just kind of assuming, taking their word for it. And staff, man, it's tough. It is not as easy as we think. And creating a great vetting process or screening process. And also, I'm assuming sort of onboarding and training documents and time that you spend with them, making sure that they're doing it to your standard is huge,
Yeah. I mean, we did do 2 solid weeks where all they're doing is shadowing or being shadowed. They are not considered to be an employee that needs to take any sort of responsibility. They just need to learn the standards.
Well, and I have this high school student. She's now going off to college. We have a lot of them. We have several that are going off to college now, and she's doing some of the little summer jobs she did for the month of July. And she comes back and she's like, this job is so much harder than the other ones that I'm doing. I'm like, people totally underestimate, because you have to know all the dog personalities. You have to know who maybe not should be together, that kind of thing. There's so much. And over the years, we've had to change our interview process. And so, because we're like, oh, great, good person, they get them on the play floor for a working interview, and it's a absolute no, it's because it's really a challenge to find people who are dog people and people. That's the problem.
Isn't that weird?
Usually people want to work at a dog daycare because they kind of don't like people. They want to work with dogs.
Yeah, and so 2018, 2019, the labor market was just so tight that kind of had a running joke at that time that is the only people that are looking for jobs are those that are basically unemployable.
Well, and too, when everything opened up in 2021 and everybody could travel because of the vaccine, we got super busy all of a sudden. And there was no one really employable because either they were still getting the bennies from COVID or whatever, Yeah.
It really, it almost makes it harder because you got to interview more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you got to bring them on the floor with the dogs. That's
Yeah. And
well, I scheduled a working interview today for Tuesday, and I'm like, okay, jeans, sturdy shoes.
Yeah.
Anything you
Yeah.
don't care gets slobbered on. Do not dress up. It is not not that kind
Yeah.
of interview.
And
Go ahead, Larry.
I was gonna say, yeah, in 2021, we worked a lot. Our son ended up making himself dinner most nights because we wouldn't be home until like 8, 9 o'clock at night,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Griffin started cooking when he was 13.
Oh,
And I'm so glad that he did because, he can cook himself meals. Our
yeah.
daughter was different, but uh and I said the moment you turn 16, we're gonna start looking for a job, right? And he's like, yeah, because he was gonna start earlier. And then we decided, you know what? Take the rest of the couple of these months, because his birthday is July 28th. I was like, take a couple of months, goof off, have no responsibilities except for chores, and then right after your birthday, we're gonna go on a little trip, and then like I want you to go out there. And I just thought, oh yeah, he could work at a little doggy daycare somewhere in the South End or whatever. What a great,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. I got one last question, then we can wrap it up. For someone thinking about turning their love of animals into a business, what's the one thing you wish someone had told you before you started?
I don't know because for me it's tough because it was a natural next step of what I had already started, right?
Yeah,
Because I'd
because
worked
you
at
had
the
had
vet.
veterinary experience and
I
education and
Then I'd been at the vet for 5 years and started a
yeah,
side hustle of the pet sitting dog walking to the point where was working. I'd go part time at the vet because my business was growing, and Larry was like, "You're working 65 hours a week. You need to make a choice."
yeah.
And so for me, it's hard because it was just an organic next step. It was a natural progression.
So if we put ourselves in the mindset of somebody that doesn't have that experience, like what would you tell them? Like, hey, learn something for real, or like really know X, Y, and Z before you jump into this, because you think this is going to be easy, but let me tell you about these things that you may not have considered.
Well, if someone were to start their own, say, dog walk pet sit business, separate from Rover and all those things,
Sure.
I think the thing that they would really need to be aware of is that it is really a 7 day a week job all the time.
Mm,
If you
mm.
take on people when they're on vacation, if you're only doing the weekday dog walk, that's different because then you have your weekends. But if you want to do the cat sitting on vacations, it ends up being pretty much every day.
Yeah, it's weird because I think about how we think about dog sitters and or electricians or plumbers or anybody that I need when I need them.
Yeah.
And and it's like, oh yeah, like they may not be available. They're not like a big company, but I love them. So it's like
Hmm.
it's almost like you have to schedule that out or be schedulable or be
Hmm.
very clear. And do you think that that's a negative for the person like walking dogs as a service starting out, that that they close up like a Monday through Friday? Or do you think that it's good to have those boundaries and you'll just get the clients eventually?
It depends on the person. I mean, it really depends on the person where they are at in life. I mean, at
Mm.
that time, I was young and had a lot of energy. And so I could do that and I could get up and go take care of diabetic cats at 6 in the morning on a Saturday and do some cat sitting and come back and take a nap. And, I had that flexibility. If I was the age I am now and I didn't have that, I'd be like, I am not getting up at 6 in the morning to go take care of somebody's cat. I need a day off. So it really
Yeah.
depends. I don't think there's any right or wrong thing. I think it's somebody needs to really look at what works, what's going to work for them,
Yeah.
and what's important. Because some people it's really important they have 2 days off together, and some people I just want a day off once in a while. So it really depends.
Yeah. And I agree. It's going to be super different for somebody that's looking to start something on the side that's in their 20s and maybe they just got out of their bachelor's. They want to take some time, be self-employed before they
Yeah.
go do the next thing. Then the woman who is 54 and has been sitting at a computer for 30 years and now has to like put miles in
Yeah.
and have strong wrists and
Yeah.
I mean, you name it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too is now, because back in the day when I was doing that, it was late 90s. I mean, traffic was not what it is now. And
Right.
like I took care of cats in Belltown. I could buzz down there, find parking easy. That is not
Or
the case
Ravenna.
anymore. Or Ravenna, I was
Yeah.
driving all
Sure.
over, and with gas prices now and traffic, that's a
Yeah.
huge factor to take into because you, typically as a pet sitter, you don't charge for your travel time. So those
Right.
are also factors, like, you know.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Totally. You got to consider all those little things before start your own thing. Larry and Jen, it's been such a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for coming on. People, the best place for people to find you and bring their pets to look up information is metrodogseattle.com, right?
Yeah, we actually we have that will work, but we also have metro.dog, and that's just easier to,
Metro.dog.
yeah.
Cool.
And
I'll
you
make
can
sure that those go in the description.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, you can sign up for pet first aid classes. You can send us a message. We'll get you scheduled for a free trial day if you want to do. And we'll do that for either boarding or for daycare. We want, since it is a social environment, we want to make sure that we're going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, not every dog is a good fit. You know, sometimes they would rather be left alone.
Right. Totally.
Just like many
Well,
people I've known.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on, and it's just special that you guys are responsible for my first website. So I wanted to put you on and hopefully get you
Well,
some
thank
love.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
absolutely. Thanks.
glad to know we're doing some good out there. And it's
Yeah,
always a pleasure to see you, Rory.
yeah. Thanks, guys. Well, have a great night. Hopefully we'll talk soon.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
sounds good.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.